Hello and welcome to the Patch Fix Tuesday podcast from Automox. I'm your host, Jason Kikta, and I'm joined again this month by my colleague, Landon Miles, who you'll recognize from other Automox podcasts and the Dirty Frag Emergency podcast. Landon, good to have you back.
Hey, glad to be here, Jason. And I will say, after last week's Dirty Frag episode, I was hoping for a bit of a calmer month on Patch Tuesday. So I don't think we got that.
A little bit. Funny you say that because on the surface, it's the quietest Patch Tuesday Microsoft has shipped in a while. 0 that are actively exploited, 0 publicly disclosed at release, and a net new CVE count came in below the 4-month average for 2026. So looking at the headline, you would think we caught a break, but as always, we didn't. The interesting story this month isn't in Microsoft's release notes. It's in what happened between the April and May patch cycles, what Apple shipped yesterday, and who's showing up in the acknowledgement section. So let's get into it. All right, so let me set the table with the numbers. Microsoft May release lands in the low triple digits for net new CVEs. So roughly 24 that are rated critical, and the rest are split between important and a small handful of lower severity items. So that impact mix, though, it's heavy on escalation of privilege and remote code execution, like every month. And like I said, there's 0 exploded in the wild, 0 that are publicly disclosed, and Microsoft flagged a focus subset as exploitation more likely. And that's the triage list.
Yeah.
And for context, right, April was 167 CVEs with 2 0 days, including that SharePoint spoofing bug, the Defender's escalation of privilege flaw. The community started calling that the community called Blue Hammer. So May is coming in well under that, and it's a step down, but only if you stop counting at the Patch Tuesday release, right?
Yeah, and we definitely shouldn't just stop counting at the Patch Tuesday release, even if looking back at April being kind of the heaviest of the ones I'd seen in a long time. But yeah, so what else do we have, Jason?
So yeah, Apple released macOS Tahoe 26.5 yesterday on May 11th, the day before Microsoft's drop, and it had 79 CVEs across 41 components. 20 of those are in WebKit, 9 are in the kernel, and there's a Wi-Fi kernel RC in there that I want to spend some time on. And then on the Linux side, right, we just lived through copy fail in late April, Dirty Frag last week, which was quite an adventure for you and I, and we covered that in episode 31. So between the 3 major operating systems, there was a lot to handle even before we got to today's Microsoft release.
Yeah, there sure was. The April Patch Tuesday created a domain controller reboot loop on multi-domain forest using privileged access management, or PAM. Microsoft shipped 5 out-of-band cumulative updates on April 19th to fix it, 1 for each of the supported Windows Server SKUs. There's also a large array of Chromium patches in this, if you look at the out-of-band releases for this month also.
Yeah, and 2 days later, on April 21st, they shipped a .NET 10.0.7 out-of-band specifically for CVE 2026 40372. That's an ASP.NET Core data protection elevation of privilege bug rated at critical, so 9.1. And, forging authentication cookies, getting system level access through bad HMAC validation. So that one rolls into today's update, but customers who actually run ASP.NET Core apps needed it 3 weeks ago. So when I say May Patch Tuesday is quiet, I mean the May 12th box of CVEs is quiet. The month has not been quiet.
For sure.
All right. So let me walk through Microsoft items that warrant action ahead of normal cadence. So first, there's 2 pre-authenticated network RCEs in core Windows services. CVE 2026 41089 is the Windows Net Logon RCE, which has a CVSS of 9.8. Almost there. Almost a perfect 10.
There.
Yeah, so that's a stack-based buffer overflow, and the attacker sends a crafted network request to a DC or a domain controller. No auth required, no user interaction, and if you've been doing this long enough, the description language sounds sadly familiar.
Yeah, it sure does. And although Microsoft hasn't called this wormable, and the underlying bug is a Stack Overflow, not a crypto protocol flaw, I'd be careful about drawing the comparison to zero logon directly.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and I'd say the same to anyone planning to quote us on this, or talking to somebody else, because the mechanism's different, right? The blast radius could still be very ugly because it's domain controllers and it's pre-auth. And when you pair that with CVE 2026 41096, that's the Windows DNS client RCE, also a 9.8. It's a heap overflow triggered by a malicious DNS response. Any Windows host issuing a DNS query is potentially in scope, including workstations behind a compromised resolver. So these two are at the top of my list this month. Even if you can't touch them from outside the internet, this is one of those that attackers, malicious actors, like once they're inside your perimeter, this allows them to do lateral movement and privesc very, very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll add Hyper-V to that list also. So CVE 2026 40402 is a guest to host escalation. I always find these hypervisor vulnerabilities fascinating. So CVSS of 9.3, scope change to system on the host. Microsoft confirms in their FAQ that a low privilege guest VM can traverse the security boundary into the host environment. So if you're running multi-tenant VDI on-prem virtualization or any type of Hyper-V host with untrusted guest workloads, that's a same week, same day, if you're depending on what you're doing out there, patch. So, but
yeah, I definitely wouldn't wait about on that specific one. And after those three, unsurprisingly, there's the Office and Microsoft Office and the word block. So we have several critical RCEs. They're at the CVSS 8.4. All of them are reachable through the preview plane. Or preview pane, I should say, and they're the same class, same vector, same attack surface. Two of those are also on the more likely list, which is that click to own shape that lights up your initial access traffic that you have to worry about. And then there's that SharePoint block. Looks around, I think it was 6 RCEs total. CVE 2026 40365 was rated critical, 8.8 for internet facing farms. That's emergency, actually critical. I think that should be a high. 8.8 is a high. Yeah. But that's an emergency change window candidate if you're still running a SharePoint server on the perimeter. I hope you're not, but if you are, if that is your life, then I would take that emergency window. And one last observation about volume, Microsoft shipped 11 CVEs in Windows TCP/IP in their Windows TCP/IP stack this month alone. So most of them require some specific condition to trigger. But the headline one, CVE 2026 40415, it needs sustained memory pressure that Microsoft said is not commonly present in normal operations. So, that's probably good news for most of us, probably bad news if you live in a sort of high volume environment. But I'd treat that whole TCP/IP cluster as a single triage line rather than 11 separate stories, because it's all just very similar. Do you agree?
Definitely. Do you know if it's the same patch that is for all of those, or if it's a different patch?
I think there's multiple patches in there, but they're all they all rhyme with each other.
Gotcha.
So, Landon, why don't you go ahead and take us through Apple here?
Yeah, so we got a special little treat from Apple yesterday. They released Tahoe 26.5, and with that, they released about 79 CVEs across 41 components in macOS Tahoe 26.5. I always find it interesting to compare, but 26.4.1, their last release, they noted that there was no security content in it. So I don't know if they're catching up or something or fixing things, but there was a lot in this one. So the severity item that earns immediate attention is CVE 2026-28819. It's a Wi-Fi kernel RCE. The Apple description is direct and it says, an app may be able to execute arbitrary code with kernel privileges, which is not a good thing. So
Frowned
out of
upon.
bounds right in the Wi-Fi stack and is credited to Wang Yu. Yeah, not a great thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was definitely, I made everyone in the business take a reboot last night. I was not playing around. I saw that one. I was just like,
not a fun one to play with.
Not touching that with a 10-foot pole. No, thank you. So, kernel RCE, the worst kind of fix to delay. There's no privilege boundary left that you can hide behind. So that's one I take very seriously.
Yeah, Jason, in your past career, how would you feel about exploiting this bug?
I would feel really fantastic about this bug. Like that's a lot of fun, especially because, without knowing the specifics of the vulnerability, but like so often people think that, well, that's not the Wi-Fi network that I'm on, so I'm not vulnerable. But then, you come to find out that it's maybe an artifact of, your Wi-Fi device is constantly scanning and looking for access points, even when it's attached to one, even when you've got, plenty of signal. So it's just something that they habitually do. And if it's tied into that at all, right? Like some of these things, like you may not, I don't know about this one in particular, but some of these things, like you don't even have to connect. And so if it's one of those suckers, would not wait because you could just be a lot of fun though to go war driving with this sucker.
Yeah, I mean, even somebody with a pineapple or a Rogue AP, you could could get that pretty quick, I think. So patch your Mac devices. So, but so beyond that one, kernel block in this release also had 9 CVEs total, including 4 that grant root, 3 of which are memory corruption plus a gatekeeper bypass through a malicious disk image. WebKit block, there was a lot on that one. It's the largest browser engine surface I've seen in probably, I think, any of the Apple releases this year.
Yeah,
lots
the whole
of
year.
After free, content security policy bypasses, type confusions, memory safety. It's important. WebKit is, so WebKit is the standard initial access vector for macOS implants right now. So it looks like, so this is the half of the release that attackers are going to care about the most. I mean, that's easy to get into. So
well, it's that half that quietly reaches every device, right? Because yes, WebKit is in Safari, but it's also in mail message rendering. It's in any embedded web view that an app uses. Like you don't have to be a Safari user to be exposed. Using anything on Mac OS or iOS exposes you.
Sure. We didn't have this one in the notes, but I was looking through this through their releases. They had one where it if you're writing a draft of an email, it would load the image basically. So it would load the image even if you told it not to, which again, for those spammers out there, that's not a great one. So if you're in mail, but so just long story short, just go ahead and patch. So so you don't have to be on Safari to be exposed. So beyond Wi-Fi in the kernel, 4 CVEs grant root through different paths. So cups, path validation, storage kit consistency, user account updater, info leak, and 1 in the kernel itself. So mostly local, mostly chained off of something else, an initial foothold, a malicious app, a compromised installer. But each one of those is a privilege escalation in its own, and definitely is what attackers are counting on and what you need to patch.
I'm not telling this Unix joke. It's terrible.
I put it in there just to hope you'd read it off and realize halfway.
Did you really put it in there?
Yeah, I was like,
I was about to, and I was like, I read the cups, and I was like, Jurassic Park. It's like, oh man, it's gonna make the Unix joke. That's actually, I'm gonna tell it. Right.
All right.
Yeah. One note on cups. It stands for Common Unix Sprinting System. So it's again time to break out your Jurassic Park memes of, it's a Unix system. I know this. But, what's the funny thing about that, like a lot of people don't know this little piece of trivia that, that little file browser, that 3D file browser that she was using, that's real. Like that's a thing you can download. You can get it for Linux these days. I can't remember the name of it, but I used
Yeah, I
it
think it's open
way
source
back in
now.
the day. Yeah, I was on like not even Solaris. I was on like Sun
Yeah.
OS, which is like tells you I'm just really really old. But yeah, you can still get to Linux to this day. It's not a good browser, but my gosh, it looks neat.
Was it
It looks
FSN File System Navigator? I think is what it was. But
yeah. That sounds right. That sounds right. So
the File
anyone out
System
there, if you're
Visualizer was the visual component. So
there you go, there you go. See, hey, there you go.
hey, there's someone on. So it's Unix. So I think there's someone looking here that they got it to run on modern Mac OS. So if you really want
Wow.
to,
If you're really into slow graphics and self punishment while trying to find a file, that might be the route for you.
yeah, your Finder Spotlight search might work a little bit better, but
Yeah, but to each their own. So,
to each their own. So.
But yeah, on cups, this is where the Apple side matters to the IT and security audience. Mac OS in the enterprise no longer just a developer laptop. It's executive devices, finance, increasingly entire workforces, and the patch cadence on them is, it's less disciplined than Windows. I think both in the terms of what day is it going to come out, and here it happened to come out before Patch Tuesday, which isn't deeply unusual, but it's also not extremely reliable. And then Apple also has the terrible habit of putting all their security updates into one giant monolithic patch, which I think is probably based on good intentions of like, we'll put features in with security so that people will get both and they'll be more likely to install security. But at the same time, when you think about enterprise users,
so.
yeah, you need it broken up. So but whatever. I'm sure we got like new memojis or some crap.
Hey, the stuff that we all of us use in the corporate world. So
yeah, totally need more memojis. So let's talk about my baby Linux for a minute. We did a full deep dive on Dirty Frag in episode 31. So not going to recover everything, but for anyone who hasn't caught up, just want to briefly recap with the short version. So Dirty Frag, it's a Linux kernel local privesc chain discovered in early May. It chains together CVEs 2026 43284 and 43500. So it's reliable, no race condition. It works across, you name it, Ubuntu, Red Hat Enterprise, Alma, CentOS, OpenSUSE, Fedora. POC went public ahead of schedule because a third party broke embargo. That's the worst version of standard disclosure timing.
Yeah. So basically, if you're running the Linux kernel under your operating system, you're probably going to be affected. So critically, CVE 2026 43500 still has no patch in any tree at the time of disclosure. We've got an Automox worklet for it that's module blocking mitigation. It's on GitHub, free, available to anyone, whether they're an Automox customer or not. But yeah, we'll have the link in the show notes below. Go check that out.
Yeah. And for Automox customers, it's obviously in the catalog. But
yeah, it's a
the
one-click
thing I
button
want listeners
if you're an Automox customer. I said it's a one-click button if you're an Automox customer, but you're not. You may have to go through a few more steps. So
you're going to do multiple clicks. You can do the one click.
Yeah,
I can give you one click, or I can give you many clicks. I don't know where I was going with that.
I love it.
And the thing that I want listeners to remember from that episode is the copy fail connection, right? Copy fail. That's CVE 2026 31431. It was the predecessor disclosed at the end of April. AI discovered, right? Single 732 byte Python script. Get you root on would get you root on every major Linux distro since 2017. And the mitigation for it was to disable the ALGIF underscore AEAD kernel module, right? And Dirty Frag doesn't stop at the same module. So if you did that, you're still exposed to Dirty Frag, right? You got to block, what is it, ESP4, ESP6, IPComp4, IPComp6, and help me out here, RxRPC. Was it RxRPC? Yeah.
I think so, yeah, which is exactly the kind of fragmentation that automation handles well and manual processes really don't. Again, AutoMox worklet, shameless plug here. It's a big issue. So if you're scrolling through your Hacker News or wherever and say, hey, oh, this Linux, I read about this Linux bug a couple weeks ago. It sounds familiar. It's not. It's a different one. Go patch it. So
yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, when I first saw it, I kind of skipped past it.
It's very close. The headline is very similar in a lot of news sites.
Yeah, I saw people talking about it in a group. I was like, why are these guys talking about this again? Like, we already went through this.
Yeah, but we already fixed this. We didn't. It's a new one. So
the gift that keeps on giving. But it's why we keep coming back to the same point in the show, right? Patch velocity, configuration discipline, accurate inventory. Those are the foundations, right? So the class bug doesn't change the math. It just changes the urgency.
Yeah.
So I want to spend the last few minutes on something I noticed when I read the acknowledgement sections for May, and Microsoft credits 166 separate researcher attributions across this release, right? So 6 of them name AI assisted research by name, and not generic, we used a tool language, but specific firms and specific Anthropic researchers. So the headliner of that is CVE 2026 40403, a Windows graphic component RCE rated critical. It's 8.8 and a heap buffer based overflow in Win32K GRFX. Microsoft credits Khalif.io and Milad Nasir at Anthropic using Claude. So Anthropic by name on a critical Windows RCE that gets shipped in today's update, right?
Yeah. So I think there were 3 of them actually I think there's around 3 of them in the Microsoft release. There was several of them in the Apple's release that was Anthropic by name. And then several, I believe in those Linux ones, I don't remember if they called out Anthropic by name, but they did say AI assisted vulnerability research by name, which in my memory, this is the first month where we've had Linux, macOS, and Windows all disclosing AI vulnerability research by name, which is
they got the hat trick this month.
Yeah. And so again, we had I'm jumping around in our script now, but we had Glasswing out this month, and there was a lot of, is it just marketing hype? What is it? And I think this is proof right here that it's not just marketing hype. I mean, it's like what we've been talking about in every podcast since the start of the show, every Patch Tuesday podcast, every podcast across AutoMox is AI is good at what AI is really good at. And that is looking at large, boring data sets sometimes. And all the respect out there to kernel and driver developers, but a lot of that is a large data set that people take for granted. I mean, people have looked over that line of code thousands, if not millions of times. And it took kind of the infinite patience of an AI system, which humans, not infinitely patient, to be able to find these. So, I mean, Jason, curious your take on this too. So,
yeah, no, and that's the thing is, and most of these people, there's no way they're using Mythos, right? Like maybe the Anthropic researchers, but for the rest of them, the real point is maybe Mythos is hyped up, maybe it isn't. It doesn't really matter in the end, because again, one thing that a large language model is going to be really, really good at is pedantic language. And sometimes that's what you need to find an exploit. Not to mention that, modern AI is far beyond just being an LLM, right? The LLM is the interface, but they use many submodels and a variety of techniques, and calling something like even the latest version of Claude or OpenAI, calling it an LLM is really underselling what it's capable of doing. So, the trend is clear, and it's just going to keep heading in this direction.
Listen, they spent a lot of years overselling what they could do. Now they're underselling what they could do.
Yeah, now
They
they're
gotta find.
now
You're
they're
gonna
paying
find the middle. So at some point, so like,
as
but
with most things, the truth is in the middle. So, yeah. So and again, they had CVE 2026 40398 remote desktop services EOP as more likely Khalif.io and Anthropic 40377 critical services EOP again Khalif.io it keeps coming up a lot. They had a busy month. Bruce Dang 40380 volume manager extension driver RCE Khalif.io and Anthropic, and then 33841 Windows kernel EOP, also on the more likely list. And that was Andrew Fasano at the NIST Center for AI Standards and Innovation. So you have a government AI safety institute and a commercial AI red team shipping fixes in the same release, or finding vulnerabilities that needed fixes in the same release. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. And Caliph, I'm not sure, but they were showing up in Apple's release notes too. I mean, it wasn't just the Microsoft's release notes; they were really showing up kind of everywhere. Their public site is pretty direct about what they do: red teaming, security engineering, from the hackers trusted by Claude, Gemini, and Cursor, founded by Tai Duong. And it's just not Microsoft again. They have 3 credits in Tahoe 26.5 as well. And I'm sure if we did more digging into some of the Linux releases, we'd find that in there also. So
yeah. The copy fail was discovered by Theory using their Zint Code AI platform. Theory's a serious team. They won the DEF CON CTF 9 times, took 3rd in DARPA's AI Cyber Challenge finals, and their write-up says copy fail was serviced by Zint Code about an hour of scan time against the Linux crypto subsystem. One operator prompt, no harnessing. That was the part that impressed me. No harnessing. So 1 hour of AI scan time with no harnessing, one prompt, produced a logic flaw that survived 9 years of human review and millions of automated tests, right? So counting that all up, right? 6 AI attributed Microsoft CVEs, 3 Apple, 1 Linux, 10 AI assisted vulnerability discoveries, shipping fixes across all 3 major operating systems in a single patch cycle.
Yeah, and that's just the credits that we can see in the acknowledgments. The actual numbers are almost certainly higher because Anthropic launched Glasswing just a few weeks ago, this April, with 12 initial partners, including Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Cisco, Google, the big 12 of tech. But so some of those partners aren't going to credit Anthropic by name on every advisory. Some of them, hopefully they will release patch notes, but some of them will also patch silently. I hope not. But it's also like the Linux kernel, we've always talked about it as, it's always been talked about as the most reviewed piece of software in the world in history. And it's crazy to me that just kind of thinking about it slightly differently with an LLM and not kind of going to it with the same biases or understandings that a human would, and having, again, the infinite patience, even if it's just an hour of LLM time, like it's definitely a bit of a game changer, it feels like. So again, going off script, but
yeah. So and so here's where I land on it, right? Like, this is the thing we've been calling frontier pace governance, and now we have concrete evidence of what it starts to look like in practice, right? So, the AI discoveries this month mostly Privesc bugs and low-level components, but kernels, drivers, graphics stacks, crypto services, right?
Yeah,
those post-exploitation primitives those are the ones that attackers chain off of their initial access. So it closes that Privesc gap that's been the bread and butter of every targeted intrusion for the last 20 years, which is a big deal, right? Now, that said, it doesn't mean that defenders need a new tool set or anything else. It means that we need to assume our patch cadence is now a race that honestly, as a community, we've been a little bit comfortable, a little too comfortable losing. But the bugs are coming faster. The fixes have to ship faster. That existing automation discipline, patch velocity, accurate inventory, configuration hygiene, defense in depth, those raise your exploitation costs regardless of how the bugs are found, right? So the real task is lining up that governance with execution, and you want this rebalanced risk appetite to do continuous posture updates, right? Like that's what it really comes down to. So anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. I wrote an entire blog on it. Well, I guess we can drop the link in the show notes. But oh man, this is one that I fear that not enough people understand is really what's coming for us. So, But Landon, anything I missed?
Nothing that I can think of. One thing for the listeners, quiet Microsoft headline this month. It's a little bit misleading. April was loud. Off-cycle activity was loud. Apple, loud. Linux, loud. May is not actually quiet. If you just look at the block of releases in Patch Tuesday, it may seem quiet. It's not. Don't let the 0.0 exploit and disclosure line on Microsoft's release notes change your cadence. So,
Yep. Well said. So that's it for May. Patch your kernels, patch your DCs, patch Tahoe 26.5 on your Mac fleet. Verify your copy fail and dirty frag mitigations to cover both module sets. Do what?
Yep. So they're separate. Just
oh yeah, they are separate. Two different things. And yeah. And if you're running ASP.NET Core, you should already be on 10.0.7. So
oh yeah, actually, Jason, one thing before we close, I want to reiterate one point that you've made. With all of these new AI discovered vulnerabilities and time to exploit decreasing, is there anything that people need to be focusing on that's new? So.
Well, I mean, honestly, no, right? And I want to be cautious here with my answer because I know that that's what anyone wants to hear from a CTO in a security podcast, but it's the honest one, right? Yeah. The bugs are getting found faster. The exploits are getting weaponized faster. There's a, gap between disclosure and active exploitation just keeps getting smaller. But again, keep saying like it doesn't change what we need to do. It just changes how fast we need to do it, right? Basics are still the basics, right? Have that accurate inventory so you know what you have, right? Your patch velocity, so the window between the fixed shipping and the fixed landing in your fleet measured in, hours or days, not quarters or weeks. Config discipline, right? So systems that you patch don't drift back into a vulnerable state next week, or that you apply the configuration to, right? Like applying a configuration once, any trained monkey with enough bananas can do that, right? But like the mark of professionalism is really configuration enforcement. So you need to focus on that. Think about that, your defense in depth, so that when something slips through, because it will, right? You've got that next layer ready. And honestly, that's really the whole list. It hasn't changed in 20 years and AI isn't really changing now. It's just got to go faster. So that cost of being slow, if it was 30 days and you were comfortable with that, you're betting no attacker would weaponize a given bug inside of that window and, go after you. But, they can automate, automated exploitation has been a thing, like mass scale has been a thing for years now, right? And now it's just getting easier and easier. So
faster.
For sure. So thanks as always for listening, everyone. And Landon, thanks for joining me again. We'll be back next month. And if something breaks before that, we'll be back sooner, but hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Until then, stay secure and stay ahead. Thank you.